Hello, everyone. We are starting a new webinar series called 5 o'clock Tea Talk, and our first guest is Dr. Riza Kadilar. To live fully, being at peace with ourselves, to feel that we are in harmony with our environment and nature, to be satisfied with the work we do, to respect all our feelings without falling into the trap of happiness, to live every emotion functionally, living a meaningful life by using and enjoying our strengths, and even getting out of bed every morning with great enthusiasm and energy. These are his words from recent Harvard Business Review. Dr. Riza Kadilar is a PhD in economics. After a bachelor science degree at Middle East Technical University in Industrial Engineering, he obtained his master's science degree at Stanford University and completed his MBA at HEC Paris and an executive management course at INSEAD. His past professional career includes senior-level bank management experience in France, UK, Netherlands, and Turkey. Since 2006, he is the senior country manager and representative of Natixis in Turkey. Before that, he served as a deputy CEO of a London-based bank and also assumed some non-executive board membership roles in some listed companies. Besides teaching at Boğaziçi University as a visiting professor, he is the global president of European Mentoring and Coaching Council, EMCC, chairman of English Speaking Union Turkey, chairman of China Institute Turkey, scientific committee member at Institut du Bosphore, TÜSİAD, and board member at Hisar Education Foundation. He is the author of 5 published books on carbon trading, China, executive coaching, mentoring, and facilitation. He is also an editorial board member of Global Trade Review, a London-based leading trade finance magazine, and he writes regularly at Bloomberg Business Week Turkey. 35 plus years of career and counting. We are so lucky to have you here with us today. Thank you for accepting our invitation to this event. Would you like to start with the first question, or would you like to say something before I ask the questions?
Please go ahead, shoot. It's nice to be here, and let's see what comes.
Okay, my first question. What have been some of the most meaningful experiences you had in your professional career?
Well, I had my dual career. One is the finance, the other one is this, one is the financial capital, the other one is human capital. On the financial capital side, I can tell you some impressive projects like the bridge crossing in Dardanelles, or the financing of some greenfield operations, factories, aircrafts financed by so many game changer, people's life impactful whatever projects that I was instrumental to finance. So that's kind of one part that's very fulfilling. On the human capital development side, I would say, I wouldn't really come up with like one example, but there's a series of many examples. Like I remember, for example, one company, it's a very important turnaround phase. They were really going upside down, and we had a team coaching retreat in a weekend, almost 3 days weekend, with their top management. And after that event, of course, they turned around and it was a great success. They were acquired by private equity and everything. So, for example, that was a kind of, a good feeling that I wasn't around when they enjoyed the fruits, but I was there in the room when it happened, when they became a team. So I have many more this kind of anecdotes where people's life changed in a way with my somehow intervention, sometimes facilitation, sometimes with just few inspiring words and everything. And, it's a bit kind of maybe unfair, but I also like it. You don't get the full credit because at the end of the day, who am I to claim for any credit? And success has many fathers anyway. But you feel good when you notice, you observe that some good things come out of your interventions with your coaches, mentees, or the people that you work with in the training environment. So many examples, but each the same pattern. Whenever there is a good impact, whether I'm there or not, when
Yeah.
people see the fruits of it, I feel good. I really
Yeah.
feel good.
So you have different business experiences in different fields like banking, university professor, coaching, mentoring. How have you been able to bring about positive change in such different fields?
By connecting people, connecting ideas, and bringing people together under common goals, vision. And I think the key issue is to emotions, which kind of feelings you live with people. So, I always worked on creating a positive emotion, positive feeling, rather than push to pull. When you create a center of attention, attraction, people you give some appeal in what you do, then good things come out. I think that was the main philosophy I had in all through those different careers and opportunities.
So could you tell us what strategies you use to effectively mentor and coach each people or others in each field that you work on?
Yeah, basically, for mentoring and coaching, you don't have to really come up with your own magic wand. So at the end of the day, coaching and mentoring, these are already well-proven processes, practices, professions. But what you have to do is to really kind of silence your own ego, silence your own kind of internal judgments, and to let the coachee mentee flourish and discover. It's all about finding new perspective in life. So my approach is, I don't care. It's up to you. You're a grown up and you can deal with it kind of attitude. But it comes with all the techniques and approaches in order to bring and keep the coachee and mentee now and here and now. It's all about what's going on in you, in the environment, in the whole system, right here, right now. And that's why I always give the example like a triangle. We have mentor or coachee or mentee, and the issue, okay? Our job is not to solve the issue or to solve the people, but basically to focus on this triangle, the edge. Out of so many different things in life, what makes it special that issue comes to the attention of my coach or mentee? So when you put your curiosity there, when you put your compassion there, when you could put your courage there in order to kind of find what's different missing perspective, missing voices in the system, then good things come out. Because once the coach or mentee come up with new perspectives, it's up to them to make their choice. And whenever they own their choice, they also bear the responsibility of the results, the actions they will take or not. So that's a kind of proven track record in coaching and mentoring. But in most of the cases, unfortunately, coaches and mentees could go to the trap of, being curious for their own sake. And that's a trap. So, and I'm very good at it in my social life, in my personal life. My wife always complained that I live tangent. So I really don't get in too much involved with people's issues and everything. So I keep my perspective in order to leave them the room, the opportunity to freedom to come with different perspectives. And I think it really works in mentoring and coaching.
Yeah, when you mention your wife, that brings me to my next question. How do you balance family and work responsibilities while still living at Race?
In general, it's not a problem because one thing I'm really good at is delegating. I delegate pretty well, I would say. And I'm kind of good at pulling the best out of people. So that's also, in general, this is a trend. But there are difficult moments, especially on the emotional level. For example, now there's an issue, really hard issue in my mind. I'm kind of stressed with that issue. So the way I approach my wife or my daughter or whatever could be not the ideal. So I prefer to stay in isolation until I fix the problem in my head. And that's not always easy. And they also got to know me at the end. They know whenever I behave weird, they say, oh, there's something wrong. So they leave me in peace and alone. Other than this, time is actually, we can claim that we are time poor, but you can look at it from another angle and you can say we are opportunity rich. So if there are too much opportunities around us, too many of them, so we can deliberately decrease their number. So we should learn how to say no to some of the things. So whenever I'm really under stress of time, so I kind of put in force my reflex to say no to some different things or delay or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's all about kind of connecting the dots. Whenever I find kind of common useful elements in everything I do, because everything breeds each other, everything helps each other. So there is nothing in isolation in life. So whenever I see the angle that helps each other, kind of personal, family, hobbies, professional, different activities and everything. So when you bring people and ideas and opportunities together, then, it's, I don't have to do much. The good results come out of by the synergy we create with different perspectives and different people. Other than this, good delegation, good attitude, working with good people, and if there's a problem, there's a problem. There's no escape. Take your time, not to ruin your relationship with others. But it takes something. It's a challenge. I know it kind of makes me tired. But anyway, so I will do it until I'm enough, okay? So for the time being, I still have energy and appetite. So why not?
Yeah, when you said we are not time poor, it brings to my mind, like, we need to take breaks, like daily, weekly, and yearly breaks. So is there a favorite tool for you while you're balancing your work and family life that you use especially?
Not very effective. So what I do whenever I get tired from something, I switch, I do something else. And it's not really kind of rest. So because I'm still kind of working actively. And I don't see a big distinction and difference between family, work, blah, blah, friends and everything. So for me, it all kind of flows into each other. So there's no kind of strict barrier between the two. But of course, topics are different, issues are different. And changing topics and issues really help me. And on the other hand, I kind of create some time for myself. But I'm kind of fooling myself because, for example, last week I had a trekking expedition. I like trekking, and I was in an amazingly beautiful place, rich of history, nature, flowers, everything. And in the middle of nothing, I ended up checking my email and bumped into a awful, almost life-threatening, but not really literally, but like for the organization, a crisis. So, the best I could do is to park and to postpone it to the next week. But it is a price to pay. So at the end of the day, there's no real break for me. So whenever I create and I do create lots of break, believe me, short, long, friends, I don't know, drinks, food, traveling. I have plenty of them. But the problem, in the middle of nowhere, suddenly some challenging news find you, and crises don't wait for the end of your break. So that's why I won't be able to tell you a kind of magic recipe how I survive. It's a struggle. But as long as you have the energy and appetite, yeah, that's why we are here. All through my business life, I always said, I was paid. I was professional. Now I'm no longer in the professional life. I'm kind of more entrepreneur. But in the professional area, I always said, they don't pay me my salary for the things I do. Everybody can do it. I receive my salary as a kind of insurance premium, because when something really happens, if I do the right thing, I deserve my payment. If I do the wrong thing, nobody will keep me here. So that's why it's all about these key important moments in life, in business life, that we are all paid for. For the regular daily job, everyone can do it. So at the end of the day, being a CEO or a head of something or whatever, if you have the technical knowledge and some experience, why not? So the same approach. In everything I do, I always believe that what I take out, statutes, emotions, money, whatever you name it, I get it for how I fix the problems, not how I make the good things run for eternity. So that's kind of my philosophy in there.
Yeah, it sounds like it comes with the price when you are at the top levels, a CEO, entrepreneur. You have to be a workaholic to make things work. So yes, taking a break is a bit challenge there. What do you believe?
I know, but I need to think about workaholic. Is it the right word to use? I'm not, because a similar word is alcoholic, which means without alcohol you cannot live. Workaholic means without work, I cannot live. Maybe this is true, maybe not, but I need to think about it, okay?
Okay. Let's reflect on that. So what do you believe are the key elements of a successful leadership?
I believe feelings, emotions. If you are instrumental in creating the right emotions, practical emotions, like functional emotions, I think the rest follows. But it's challenging. It's challenging because sometimes, it's not sometimes, every time it takes two to tango. So especially when you are leading a team, so you can't really fine-tune all the emotions of the all team members. So there are always sometimes organizational conflicts, sometimes personal conflicts, sometimes perspective-based conflicts. Sometimes people build on other people's conflicts and everything. So I think the most challenging part is to use all emotions functionally. And for example, I'm not really good at using some of the emotions. For example, I avoid conflicts. I don't like anger. So this is my kind of personal maybe weakness. I prefer to have things in more smooth and more enjoyable way. And sometimes it's not enough. So in those times, I know I'm not the most effective leader, and maybe a most effective leader would use also those emotions rightfully in the right places. But I think nobody's perfect, isn't it? So my focus is always on the emotions and try to identify the functional emotion that will make the work best to create an inclusive feeling for all the team members. And when people feel good or functional, whatever emotions there, things do move forward. But again, nobody's perfect, and I can't master all the positions. So sometimes maybe I also kind of develop a new technique. I withdraw and I let someone else, another member of the team, who are more functional and good with such emotions, to take in charge. So whenever there's a conflict, don't look at me. I kind of promote one of my team members to more kind of use those emotions in the right way. But it's like, I don't know, it's an ongoing game. Most of the time, we take the business life or corporate life or the NGO life or whatever, like a finite game. We believe there is a beginning and there's an end, there's winner or loser, or there are rules and everything. Actually, those things are infinite games. There's no beginning, there's no end. As long as you play, you play. And the rules do change. And you can change rules. Sometimes you adapt yourself to rules. And there's no winner, there's no loser. At the end of the, as long as you're in the game, think about the politicians, they go for the next elections, they go for the next elections. As long as you believe that it's an infinite game, you have a different mindset. So that's why rather than focusing on binomial zero-sum games, maybe focusing on more like ongoing benefit for your stakeholders, your society, your whatever impact you want to leave, really helps. So these are kind of my basic principles and attitude towards leadership.
When you say about emotions, the vulnerability comes to my mind. Like, what's your soft spots, you avoid conflicts, and accepting that with a vulnerable approach, it's perfect for a leader, for our new era leaders, I think, because before the leaders were more hard, not showing any emotions, but with showing emotions, it comes with vulnerability, and it's much more effective in these days.
I don't know. This is who I am.
Good. I can feel that since I met you through our Coach Magazine Global, when we talked about having this webinar first time in my life with you, I felt so comfortable because I have so good feelings coming towards you. I'm like, okay, with Riza Kadilar, we can do it. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. How do you stay on top of new developments in the banking industry, technology, and artificial intelligence altogether?
I don't know. It's a big claim. I stay on top of everything. So it's maybe I miss everything. So I don't know. But I'm curious. There's an amazing, curious child in me, and I never let him stop. So I'm really curious. I'm you'll find me playing with new ideas and things and toys and electronics, whatever, like a real child. This is the first thing. Curiosity really helps. And the second thing is, as I said, I accept some like very challenging times. I kind of don't do anything, okay? So I tend to avoid doing any repetitive task. There are very few repetitive tasks I have in my daily life. And I avoid all meetings. So if possible, I attend at all any meeting. So that gives me some time to check on different things. So once you are really in a kind of hamster wheel, you have to do the same thing. I keep myself outside of this kind of wheel, leave myself some freedom to engage my curious side. And this curiosity helped me. And information is everywhere. And especially once you are in the community. For example, some of my investments, I did the investment, although I believe I would lose the money. But I did it because I wanted to be in the club of those people who claim to be good in those topics, whatever. So none of them really kind of, lost money. And some of them turned out to be good investments, because once you are with the right people in the right place, right time, you do follow what's going on in the world. And if you can't really make the intent out there, you use the same information for another. So it's all about connecting the dots for me. Mm-hmm. So, for example, I have some investments in blockchain technology. Some of them went very well, some of them, yeah. But at the end of the day, what I learned there, I apply it to my, for example, RK Academy. We're building the Web3, the metaverse of RK Academy. So if it flies, maybe what I learned from there will be useful there. So, for example, in the human capital development area, I focused on the technology again, like the HR tech. So in Parion, in my role, I kind of initiated the HR tech concept. And what I learned from there helped me to build other things in my other roles and everything. So one issue is to be curious, the curiosity. The second issue is to have time and energy, appetite to deploy your curiosity. And the third one is to be connected with the right people in the right domains. But at the end of the day, we still miss. Mm-hmm. I can't really claim that I'm on top of, what's going on in the world. The world is moving so fast, amazingly fast.
Some people can adapt very fast, and they say, I didn't like to stay behind these technological achievements. And when my first daughter born, I get this smartphone, and I would like to catch up with the technology, but then it changes every day so fast. And I can see the people at the age of 80 also can use computers, internet, chatting with those people around the world. I'm like, okay, not so worry, you can always catch up with some certain level, and whatever works for us, we continue with that.
Perfect.
Yeah. How do you think coaching and mentoring can help the EMCC president achieve its goals?
that's a good. Yeah, it's a kind of in a way tricky question, but at the same time it's a very valid question, because if I claim that coaching and mentoring helps every leader in today's world, I have the same attitude towards my role at EMCC. But one maybe slight correction in the question is, I find it very difficult to define anything as my goal. Implicitly, everything is my goal, okay? But whenever anything stays as my goal, it never flies. So I try to see things from different stakeholders' perspective, and try to find out who. Then the critical issue: whose voice is missing in the table, around the table. So whenever I identify whose voice is missing in the debate, it's becoming more inclusive goals for the whole institution. And of course, coaching and mentoring, both of them has places. If I may claim, for example, I've been relatively pretty successful president at EMCC Turkey. So I have, and previously I had a long-term NGO perspective with many organizations. So, I can claim that I will be a useful mentor for other council members or other country presidents, because I have some sort of a contextual wisdom that can inspire them. So that's kind of help there. The coaching approach is more like when I deal with our executive board, people need to understand their main drive in order to really kind of come up with a kind of mature projection and ideas. And most of the problems we face, we create them. So human is an amazing capacity for creating problems. And unless you hear, listen, understand, and empathy is used very wrongly in today's world. Empathy is not feeling like others. Empathy is to showing that you have the willingness to understand others' emotions. And that's it. You don't have to. You can't live the same emotions and everything. But using empathy in a proper way, and these are all coaching skills, okay? So that's why in today's world, I think any leader would benefit a lot from coaching. So in my role, coaching helps like a toolbox, especially on the executive side. And mentoring helps a lot with our council members, the country presidents, because I have some sort of an understanding of what they go through. And my contextual wisdom, I would say, experience, kind of useful to inspire them in their difficulties and everything. So that way.
Yeah. So you said whose voice is missing. That brings me to another question. How would you go about creating a culture of collaboration between different teams within the EMCC or the other organizations you started?
It's always a common goal. When there's an old saying, the partnerships are not created by partners, but by common goals. So whenever you understand what you want to get out of it mutually, beneficial, meaningful, whatever, things start to move. And as I said, I don't like push. I always like pull. So whenever there's a good idea, whenever there's a good feeling, whenever there's a kind of impactful result, people do share, they come together. And we have set up, we changed pretty much the whole structure at the EMCC, I would say, during the last 3-4 years. And the new structure is kind of his appeal because some people like it and they join the board and the work groups and everything. But maybe some of them will not fly because there's not enough energy to bring people together. So I think the whole trick is to find this common goal, define the common goals, and to deploy a kind of certain environment where people could come together and collaborate.
Yeah. So lastly, what would you advise to those people who would like to enter this coaching and mentoring world?
I don't know. So it's, I don't know. What I would say, the key question is, two core questions for me is, who are you as a coach and what brings you to coaching? In most of the cases, people do come to coaching with different drives. And some of the drives are like, bringing some cure, bringing some solution to other people's pain, because they went through certain difficulties and they get over it and they want to show that, there's another way. It's a very like, how can I say, a very, very respectful motive. But is it really the right motive to become a coach? Because coaching is a kind of equal. And then if you believe you can bring solution to other people's problem, then you're kind of conflicting with the very basic principle of coaching. Mm-hmm. And the other question is like, who am I as a coach? So, and whenever you feel like, there's some sort of an ego, whatever game into play, you're not in the right place. So what I would suggest all those people who would like to come into the world of coaching and mentoring, to become a good coachee. Mm-hmm. I would really recommend, for example, in the EMCC, that's what we did. We had these 4 different layers of accreditation, and the lowest one is foundation. It's very basic, very standard. And this really kind of game changer all over the world, because there are so many army officers, policemen, nurses, whatever you name it, or accountants, business leaders, bankers, all over the world, tens of thousands of them, they go through those trainings in order to become foundation level accredited coach or mentor. So which means that in foundation level, you're not going to be a kind of practitioner. Most probably it's like very early to claim that you can bring, but it really helps them to understand what's coaching and mentoring. So once you know what you can get out of coaching, then you become a great coachee. Mm-hmm. And as a great coachee, you know what you can do as a coach. Mm-hmm. So rather than playing the ego game and to a well-educated top-level coach, why don't we all start as a coachee, understand very well what coaching is all about, and then the sky is yours. You can go wherever you want. You can define yourself, who you are as a coach and everything gradually. But for many of our colleagues, especially my colleagues who are coming from the corporate life, they come with a very loaded luggage, all the pain they endured during their corporate lives. And they want to kind of either fix those problems or get a revenge or whatever you name it, okay? All those motives are wrong. It's not counterproductive. They're all counterproductive. Mm-hmm. So that's why I would really recommend people to go humble, easy, and to start to become a best coachee ever in the world. Then the rest will follow.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. We are so delighted to have you here with us today. Hope to have you again very soon. You are one of our great contributors. Thank you for your continued support.
My pleasure. And please continue the good work. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.